Today's topic is item definition according to ISO 26262. We're going to talk about what is an item definition, what are the contents of an item definition, and we're going to look at one example of a hypothetical project, which is an autonomous taxi, and how to create the item definition for this. Item definition is one of the work products that is mentioned in part 3 of ISO 26262. In fact, it's one of the first technical products that we would work on. If you're always confused as to where to start the project with, item definition. Always start with the item definition. So, what is the item definition? An item definition essentially it consists of four things. It describes what is the product or the system that we're working on. It describes what are the functionalities of the system. It describes the interfaces to these functionalities. It could be user or it could be another system. And it describes the environment where the system is being used. Now, this could be the item can be a small control unit. The item can be a sensor. The item can be something bigger, something like the brake system or the steering system, or the item can be the entire vehicle itself. It could be an autonomous taxi. There is no limitation as to what the item is. It can be anything that you define it to be. So if you are a manufacturer of sensors, your item is a sensor. If you're a manufacturer of control units, your item is the control unit. If you're a manufacturer of autonomous taxis, then the item is the autonomous taxi. In summary, the item definition should provide a safety engineer enough information on what is it that they're working on. What is the product? What is the system? What are its functionalities? So that they can try to identify risks and how to mitigate them. Now let's look at an example. Um, the item definition essentially it describes what are we working on. Now let's take the example of an autonomous taxi, and let's say that it's driving in a neighborhood without any driver in it, without any steering wheel, brakes in it. Well, there is a steering and a brake system, but not controlled by the driver. Uh, Imagine all of this was done within a limited ODD, operational domain, operational design domain, and let's say this is just a college campus. Um, and let's say the vehicle is just a passenger car where four people can sit. They enter the vehicle, they enter the directions where they want to go. The vehicle drives autonomously, drops them to the destination. Now, this is a high level description of what we're working on. For the moment, neglect all the sensors that are here. It's not so important in the item definition. The item definition, the item definition should then describe the functionalities. In this case, the item is an autonomous taxi. So, what are its functions? Its functions number one, power up the vehicle when the driver enters the vehicle. Then, number two is the driver should be able to set a destination. It's not written down over here, but that's function number two. Once the destination is set, then it accelerates, decelerates, steers the vehicle, and then brings to a standstill. Then the passenger can leave the vehicle. And while all of this is happening, it should show the map and the information to the driver. At a very high level, these are the functions: accelerating the vehicle, decelerating, steering, maintaining standstill, showing route to the user. I like to always show functionalities in the form of diagrams. This is a very simple diagram showing how all these item functions operate together. So the user is using a phone app. A phone app is used to power up the vehicle. It's also used to set the destination. And once the destination is set, the vehicle does the following tasks: accelerate, decelerate, steer, keep the vehicle at standstill, and all along display the map to the user. The item definition should also describe the environment where this is going to be used. So in this case, the environment where it's going to be used is, let's say it's a college campus which is geofenced, which means the moment it leaves the college campus, it's going to be disabled. The maximum driving speed is 40 kph. Uh, and we are also assuming that there are specific roads in which the autonomous taxi, where there are specific autonomous taxi lanes where it will drive. It won't go onto other roads where normal cars drive. We're expecting that it will drive in all weather conditions. And we also assume that the environment includes stop signs, traffic lights, pedestrian crossing, railway crossing, speed limits, etc. This is just giving an idea of what the definition should contain. Once the user has this information, the safety engineer can then go ahead with creating the HARA, the functional safety concept. So, to summarize, the item definition should provide sufficient understanding on what are we working. Number two, when in doubt, always start with the item definition. If you don't know what the status of the project is, if you're entering a project for, newly, always ask for the item definition. This should give you a good idea about what the project is about. A couple of recommendations that I would make on the item definition. The item definition, keep the item definition at a high level, which means talk about what needs to be done and not so much about how it needs to be done. What I mean by that is avoid putting too much technical solutions inside the item definitions. Just describe that it's accelerating the vehicle. It is not necessary to say how vehicle acceleration is happening. It's not important to say what kind of communication is happening within the vehicle, how many control units are there. What is more important is the what. And keep in mind, the item definition just needs to have sufficient information to perform the HARA and the functional safety concept. Providing too much details is not so important at this moment. It can be done at a later stage when creating the system design. But for now, item definition is the start of the project. It explains what is it that we're working on, and it just provides enough information to proceed with the HARA and the functional safety concept.